Happy Friday Eve, everybody. We made it. We're nearly there. Hang in one more day. It is Thursday, July the 23rd, and these are some of the headlines on BazarBest.com. Russia secretly tests anti-satellite weapons in space? Dude. Gates says multiple vaccine doses are needed to protect you against COVID. El Nopo. The Cortez chick, the House representative that's crazy as a loon, she accuses GOP rep on the House floor in front of everybody of calling her an effing bitch. So that makes her a narc, right? Pretty sure it does. And how embarrassing, because he said he didn't do it. Utah Dept of Agriculture investigates mysterious seeds sent from China. I have read multiple posts about these, and I myself received some. I'll show you. $135 million underwater lab. Sounds pretty cool to me. All these and more linked at BazarBest.com. Well, Russia's gone and done it. It has enraged the West and launched a test weapon in space meant to destroy enemy satellites. It is the first time the British and Americans have publicly accused the Kremlin of carrying out an anti-satellite weapons test in space. The U.S. Space Force said they have evidence that Russia conducted a non-destructive test of a space-based anti-satellite weapon. On July 15th, it said Russia injected an object into space from a spacecraft, Cosmos 2543, which itself was described as having birthed from the satellite. I told you, in a video earlier this year that they were launching stuff and their stuff was following ours in orbit, and they were concerned because their stuff has been known to birth weaponry, and they were concerned about them shooting our satellites out of space. Well, they just ran a test, y'all. This is the same Russian satellite which was spotted earlier this year stalking spy satellite USA 245, which snaps intelligent photos of Earth for the Pentagon. I just told you that. Nice. Russia's space agency has confirmed its satellite Cosmos 2542 was launched on November 25th from their Cosmodrome, a sprawling launch site 500 miles north of Moscow, which it described as part of Russian space forces. In Moscow, the Defense Ministry said the July 15th event involved a small space vehicle that inspected one of the national satellites from a close distance using special equipment. It added the inspection provided valuable information, which was transmitted to the ground-based control facilities. But the U.S. Space Force Command disputes this, claiming it was a space weapon being launched. Well, wouldn't they know, right? It said the craft's threatening action was similar to an on-orbit activity conducted by Russia in 2017 and inconsistent with the system's stated mission as an inspector satellite. General John Ray Raymond, Commander and U.S. Space Force Chief. I want that Space Force Chief. He needs a show. Said the Russian satellite system used to conduct this on-orbit weapons test in the same satellite system that we raised concerns about earlier this year when Russia maneuvered near a U.S. government satellite. But that wasn't the first time they did it. Oh no, y'all. If you go back, there was like 2 or 3 times that they did that. And it's consistent with the Kremlin's published military doctrine to employ weapons that hold U.S. and allied space assets at risk. General Raymond said the U.S. and its allies were ready and committed to deterring aggression and defending the nation, our allies, and vital U.S. interests from hostile acts in space. Dude, it's getting juicy. Dr. Christopher Ford, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, said it's highlighted Russia's hypocritical advocacy of outer space arms control. He accused Moscow of aiming to restrict the capabilities of the U.S. while clearly having no intention of halting its own counterspace program. Both ground-based and anti-satellite capabilities and what would appear to be actual in-orbit anti-satellite weaponry. The U.S. State Department raised concerns in 2018 and again this year that Russian satellite behaviors were inconsistent with their stated missions. So they must be like, dude, we're doing this, and then they just like do the opposite. It also warned these satellites show signs of a space-based weapon. According to the department, Russia's space conduct is concerning. Dude. The head of the UK's Space Directorate, Air Vice Marshal Harvey Smith, said, "We are concerned by the manner in which Russia tested one of its satellites by launching a projectile with the characteristics of a weapon." Isn't that what a projectile is? Actions of this kind threaten the peaceful use of space and risk causing debris that could pose a threat to the satellites and the space systems on which the world depends. We call on Russia to avoid any further such testing. We also urge Russia to continue to work constructively with the UK and other partners to encourage responsible behavior in space. Yeah, they encourage it. Not going to happen. We all knew this. It was going to come down to the come down. Brian Whedon, a space policy expert at the Secure World Foundation, which advocates for peaceful uses of outer space, said in an interview that the U.S. and British concerns were justified. He said, "I think they're onto something. I, too, found this event very suspicious." Mr. Whedon said an object separated from Cosmos 2543 at a speed of perhaps more than 400 miles per hour. 400, 500, give or take. And it is very similar to an incident back in 2017 where another Russian satellite deployed a small object at high speed as well. So they know what they got. Space projectiles, dude. And Henry Fitzgerald, director of the Space Policy Institute at George Washington University, said the July 15th incident highlights rapid advances in space technology amid worsening U.S. relations with Russia and China. What the intent of the eventual use of those technologies is, and whether they would be used as weapons against our assets in space, is speculation. In a space strategy document published last month, the Pentagon asserted that China and Russia present the greatest strategic threat due to their development, testing, and deployment of counter space capabilities and their associated military doctrine for employment in conflict extending to space. Well, they probably say the same thing about us. It added China and Russia each have weaponized space as a means to reduce U.S. and allied military effectiveness and challenge our freedom of operation in space. Aren't we doing the same thing to them? I mean, I get it. I know what team I'm on. I'm just saying. It's a whole thing, man. Oh, there's tons of videos on here and photos. It's a kick-ass story. You need to check it out. I'm going to link it at bizarrebus.com. Well, humanity's friend, not really, Bill Gates has warned that multiple doses of any coronavirus vaccine could be necessary as he slammed Donald Trump's handling of the pandemic. Microsoft billionaire Bill Gates said numerous mistakes have been made by the White House as he predicted schools could be closed until the fall of 2021. Speaking during an interview with Noah O'Donnell on CBS, Gates said he had faith in the development of a pestilence vaccine. However, he warned it could take an unbelievably big number of doses to beat the virus. He said none of the vaccines at this point appear like they'll work with a single dose. That was the hope at the very beginning. However, he said the solution will improve over time, even though there will be a lot of uncertainty about the vaccine. And I'm supposed to put that in my body? I don't think so. El Nopo. The philanthropist, who is worth $98 billion, and I hate that title, philanthropist, because it's like not something someone gives you. It's given. You use it when you donate to humanity so many millions of dollars. You're a philanthropist automatically. The second richest man in the world has offered $300 million to help fund research into the vaccine. Gates also described the closures of schools as the biggest cost of the pandemic after deaths, as he said classes likely won't be back until fall of 2021. He said, This next academic year does hang in the balance. It is extremely important. More should be done to help schools take learning online to ensure kids get their educations. Well, if you can donate $300 million to the vaccine, you can donate 300 million or billion or whatever the hell it is so that every child in the United States could have a laptop so they could learn online. Just a thought. Just a thought. Help humanity, Bill. More should be done to help schools take learning online to ensure kids get their educations. I agree, Bill. Help them out. You got the money. It's a write-off for you. The 64-year-old tech boss now spends most of his time working on the global health division of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation instead of buying laptops for the kids who need them in the United States. He'd been warning of the threat posed to humanity by pandemics since 2015 before the coronavirus outbreak. Please read Event 201 or check it out on YouTube and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. During the interview, Gates was also heavily critical of the Trump administration, with the U.S. having the highest death cases and counts in the world. Gates said some of the policies were a mistake, opening up bars, the economic benefit versus the infection risk. A lot of policies like that made it a mistake. The Microsoft mogul emphasized that social distancing, wearing masks, and developing a vaccine are now key in beating the pestilence. Maybe. He conceded, however, some of the serious mistakes that were made because of a lacking of understanding of the virus. Well, guess whose fault that was, Bill? The WHO. And the freaking CDC, who we freaking pay to know their shit, and they didn't know shit, including sending out bullshit tests to begin with. Gates said Europe responded better to the pandemic than the U.S., with its leaders communicating with a clear voice. And he also condemned, that's because their CDC did a better job of creating the tests. He also condemned reports that Trump is silencing experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is in Bill Gates' pocket. He said gagging experts was holding us back and said you could never have predicted the butting of heads between scientists in the White House. I agree with that, but it's because they jacked it off to begin with. Dr. Fauci's been feuding with Trump, with anonymous officials even briefing against him by releasing a list of his mistakes over COVID-19. Trump insisted that the U.S. had the best mortality rate in the world during a briefing at the White House this week. Gates, however, said Trump's claim was not even close, adding by almost every measure, the U.S. is one of the worst. He added we actually had criteria for opening up with cases declining, and we opened up with cases increasing. The Microsoft boss, okay, but we have to get our economy back online because I don't see you sending mortgage and rent checks to the people in the United States, which, by the way, you have the money for that too. Spread the wealth, Bill. The Microsoft boss also rubbished baseless conspiracy theories linking him to the virus with claims microchips are going to be implanted in vaccines. So he's saying that is not going to be the case. No, there's no connection between any of these vaccines and any tracking type thing. I have no idea where this is coming from. Gates called for a better dialogue to get the truth out there and said, I hope this will die down as people get the facts. Well, then, whatever, dude. We need to explain our values and why we're willing to put millions toward accelerating the process. Asked whether Facebook should do more to remove the conspiracy theories, he said they're willing to take down anti-vaxxers' posts, but you don't want to suppress normal dialogue. Okay, Bill, I could say you could do a lot to help Americans. Will you? No, because you're too busy trying to come up with a vaccine so you can charge for it and become even more rich. I'm going to link this at bizarrebus.com. The crazy loon bird, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, today recounted how a Republican lawmaker called her a effing bitch in a wild speech on the House floor. On the House floor! She's a freaking narc. The 30-year-old Democrat from New York recalled the moment that Rep. Ted Yoho put his finger in her face and called her a disgusting, and dangerous. Speaking on the floor of the House of Representatives, Ocasio-Cortez recounted in front of reporters, Rep. Yoho called me, and I quote, an effing bitch. These are his words that Rep. Yoho levied against a congresswoman. Ocasio-Cortez was reportedly accosted on Monday by Florida lawmaker Ted Yoho, who approached her and called her an effing bitch during her speech on the floor of the House. She couldn't handle this in person. Now she needs to go get back up. More complaints of bullshit. She recently won the Democratic primary in New York and said, I was minding my own business, walking up the steps, and Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind, and he called me dangerous. She is. She then recognized his comments as rude. At that point, Ocasio-Cortez headed into the building to cast a vote, while Yoho and Republican Texas Rep. Roger Williams walked towards the House office buildings. Cortez said she was called an effing bitch by Yoho when she walked back outside. The heated exchange reportedly came after Cortez, who represents the Queens and Bronx boroughs of the city, which are going to shit, by the way, which happens in every Democratic representative place, blamed the spike on the economic decline from the pestilence on July 9th. Her Thursday speech comes one day after she slammed the lies and non-apology from Yoho. She condemned her colleague on Wednesday morning, just 2 days after they clashed in D.C. On Tuesday, a spokesperson from Yoho's office told The Sun he had a brief member-to-member conversation on the steps of the Capitol on Monday. Yoho's office disputed the report about him calling her a bitch and said Yoho didn't call her any name for that matter. The office, however, did admit Yoho made a brief comment to himself as he walked away, summarizing what he believes her policies to be bullshit. Yoho apologized on the House floor on Wednesday morning. He said, I rise to apologize for the abrupt manner of the conversation I had with my colleague from New York. Dude. I would have added that in there too if I was that dude. Dude. Is it true that we disagree? It is true that we disagree on policies and visions for America, but that does not mean we should be disrespectful. Having been married for 45 years with 2 daughters, I'm very cognizant of my language. The offensive name-calling words attributed to me by the press were never spoken to my colleagues. And if they were construed that way, I apologize for the misunderstanding. And then she tweeted, does not apologize or name any action he did. Does not accept responsibility. Lies. This was not a conversation. It was verbal assault. Ugh. Distracts by making an apt poverty, ironically. She says everyone else is wrong and the incident never happened. This is not an apology. Ugh. The Florida rep added, I cannot apologize for my passion or loving my God, my family, and my country. His statement prompted Cortez to slam his apology as refusing responsibility. She's a narc, y'all. And so she's got to blow it up to try and make people look bad on the other side of the fence. She needs to be focusing on who she's representing and what her job is, and not buddy, slamming people, doing stupid, crazy shit. Anyway, you can see the video for yourself at bizarrebus.com. Let's take a quick break, and we wanted to show you the support page at bizarrebus.com, where you can just go to bizarrebus.com and click on support us. You can choose t-shirts, anything you've seen in the videos we try to list. There's 5 different ways that you can try to support us. You can use Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, Bitcoin. You can just send a straight Zelle request if you want, Venmo. You can choose to purchase a mask, any of the t-shirts. We got Alien Lives Matter, Earth Life Matters, Black Hole Eats Matters, Black Holes Eat Matter. We've got a lot of different things you can do to support us. We would certainly appreciate it if you feel that we deserve that. Thank you so much. China has been sending mysterious seeds to people. At least they appear to be mysterious in that there are no labels on them. And it's not just in Utah, but here's the story out of Utah. Over the past few weeks, people in Utah have been reporting mysterious packages they've been receiving in the mail from China. From China. Seeds. I have no effing idea what these are. All of the seeds that I ordered in the spring are accounted for on Amazon. From China. Can you see that? I don't know if I can get it clear enough for you to see it. Anyway, yeah, seeds made in China. Lori Colley, who lives in Toul, said she was excited to find 2 small packages in her mailbox on Tuesday. Although most of the writing on the outside was Chinese, the label indicated there would be earrings inside. I should have kept my package. I opened them up and they were seeds. Obviously, they're not jewelry. Colley couldn't understand why she'd be receiving mislabeled seeds from China in the mail, but at first she didn't think much of it. I didn't either. Like, I'll stick them in this, thing that I keep all my seeds in. Maybe I ordered them, I don't know, maybe not. But after checking, no, I didn't order them. She posted about the strange incident on a Facebook where some of her friends reminded her plants and seeds are strictly regulated in Utah. Fox 13 has confirmed the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food will likely team up with Customs and Border Protection agents to investigate. Well, I'm in Ohio, and I got some. An employee with the Utah Department of Agriculture picked up the seeds within a few hours of learning of the incident. Colley said she was surprised to learn the same thing had happened to at least 40 other people who either publicly commented or privately responded to her post, most of them live in Toul. I belong to a gardening group, and it's happened to a lot of people, dude. And they're telling everybody to turn them over to the Department of Ag. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Mail them to them? I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anybody. But I didn't plant them because it could be a problem. There was an article that Colley found in the UK saying this has been happening over there, and they are bad seeds. They are invasive. I hope that it's nothing too serious. Don't throw them in the garbage. Don't plant them. Don't touch them. Well, shit, what the fuck? Do I need to wash my hands now, man? Ooh, I got some sanitizer. Good thing. Employees with the Utah Department of Agriculture encourages anyone who received the mysterious seeds in the mail to please give them a call so they can pick up the mail for further investigation. Well, shit, I threw my package away a long time ago. I mean, there's even a possibility it could be a drug or something. It just smells. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't look like drugs, dude. It looks like seeds. I think I would know if it was drugs, unless they made the drugs to look like seeds. The BBB is planting a different idea. The BBB's Utah chapter told Fox 13 the incidents could be a scam known as brushing, which happened to me last year, y'all. Where some companies will send you a product so they can post a fake review in your name. That happened to me like 10 different times, dude. That is rather random. I don't think I've heard of seeds before. The first thing to do is Google your address and see what's out there. Numerous things will come up when you Google your address. It's kind of scary sometimes. Hopefully, that's all it is, but why? We just can't be too vigilant. We have to. There's too much crazy stuff going on in the world anymore, and lots of it's coming from China. Well, I absolutely agree, Colley. Absolutely. So last year, let's see, I got, and somebody hit me with a brushing scam. They didn't charge anything to my card, but it all happened on Amazon. I was getting mysterious packages from China. And like one was like a blower, like so you can clean your house off that you attach to a hose. Another was a keychain of fake peas, like in a pod that you squeeze them and they pop out. I think I gave it to my grandkid. Several other things, and they were just stupid. Nothing really that I could use. And I did a search to see if anybody was using my name for reviews, but I couldn't find anything. And I emailed Amazon and emailed and told them I kept getting this mail. All they have to do is do a search for my address and cancel the correct account. You know what account is mine? So anyway, it finally stopped after about 10 times, and now I get these seeds. So bizarre. I'm not going to plant them just because, now I know it's like a thing, it's a problem. I guess I'll have to turn them over to the Department of Ag at some point. I'm not going to call anybody. Hell with that, man. I'll just throw them in the mail. Anyway, I'm going to link it at bizarrebus.com. There is a $135 million underwater lab designed by Fabien Cousteau and Yves Bear, 4 times larger than any underwater lab to date. It could change underwater research forever. 60 feet. It doesn't sound like much, but under that weight of water, that short distance is enough to triple the pressure of our normal atmosphere. It's about as far below the surface as humans can live. A strange, isolated place where voice pitch goes up, cuts heal faster, rashes spread with abandon, and batteries deplete more quickly, which is why Fabien Cousteau, ocean researcher and grandson of Jacques Cousteau, likens the challenge of building the underwater lab to crafting the International Space Station. And that's just what he wants to build, an underwater lab called Proteus. Ooh, dude, I just read a Dean Koontz book where the robot in there, his name was Proteus, and he messed this chick up bad. Anyway, I digress. Cousteau has been fundraising an unprecedented lab where researchers can come from across the globe to study the ocean for weeks or months at a time. The price tag, $135 million. That's a lot of money to put scientists just 60 feet underwater, but Cousteau offers strong arguments for submerging science. There's not only an emotional need to be there in person, but a pragmatic need to be there for efficiency with first-hand knowledge. Cousteau points out that pulling specimens out of the water degrades their chemical composition, so studying more species underwater could give us cleaner data. Furthermore, when scuba diving, scientists have limited oxygen supply. Plus, they need to allow time for their body to acclimate to changing pressures. This puts a natural limiter on just how much research they can do. A lab would turn the ocean into something more like a day at the office, allowing researchers to put in a true 8 to 10 hour day, 60 feet below the surface. Or they can use Proteus like a launch pad, sending a drone or submarine even deeper into the ocean without having to worry about dive logistics and 12 to 18 hour decompression in between. Cousteau believes a scientist living underwater has the capacity to do 30 to 40 times more research than one that lives on mainland can do in the same time. So 2 years ago, Cousteau teamed up with Yves Bear Design Studio Fuse Project to introduce his vision of an underwater lab like the world has never seen. The results of that work are the renderers you see here, a curvaceous subaquatic building plan to be installed in Caraco if Cousteau can secure the funding. He needs to get Tesla on board. Proteus is almost impossibly ambitious. It's roughly 10 times the size of Aquarius, the world's only underwater lab currently in operation, where Cousteau set the record for underwater living. He spent 31 days at the station in 2014. This was a tough stint of time, Cousteau explains, as Aquarius is about the size of a school bus with the capacity for just 6 people living in snug proximity. Wow. Anyway, there is video on here as well, so you can check out how they drew it up, and it's like a 3D thing. It's antiquated technology in so many ways, says Cousteau. It has limitations. Space-wise, it can't accommodate everything you need for long-term deployment. That's the Aquarius. Proteus, on the other hand, is designed for long-term habitation. Its core geometry consists of 2 squat cylinders that spiral together, built from the metals and composites found in a ship's hull. On the inside, that means a ramp connects 2 floors, allowing around a dozen scientists to walk and exercise through the space in a seamless loop. The design is expandable, but can be easily built up or down like a building on land would be. Very cool. It is a two-story because we remain within the right amount of pressures for 2-story. If there were 3 stories tall with another 10 feet of living space added at the bottom or the top, it would put part of the building into a different pressure zone. The difference would be about half an atmosphere of pressure, which is enough to create a significant physiological impact on people living inside. Instead of up, Proteus is designed to build out. Much like the International Space Station, it features expandable capsules that plug into the sides of the main structure. Cool. These will house labs, a greenhouse, visitor rooms, and medical space. Note the large round windows throughout, which are designed to let the most light in possible, helping visitors maintain a semblance of living in a normal society in a normal world where daylight is scarce. Except daylight is scarce here. You might consider some of these amenities creature comforts, but for people who live underwater for long stints of time, these comforts become necessities. All of these things are maybe subliminal, but they are very, very important when you're putting a bunch of people underwater for weeks and even months at a time. We're burning 3 times the calories per day you need on land, so you're eating 3 times as many calories from processed foods. They're high in sodium and chemicals. We're wondering how we can grow some of our own food. We need the space for it, the infrastructure for it. Then lastly, how do we cook it? Fire's not an option here. As of right now, Proteus is in the concept stage. Once funding is in hand, the team isn't making the amount they've raised so far public. Cousteau plans to bring an engineering team in so that the project can be fully realized. Amazing! Dude! I love it. Great idea. So you can check out the video and the 3D photos of it. There's like a rendering, so you can check it out, and they do like the whole roundabout thing. But anyway, I'll link it at bizarrebus.com. Thanks for tuning in tonight. You guys are freaking awesome. I love all your comments. I've been reading on YouTube and everywhere else. You guys rock. Really rock. You guys have a great night. And I will see you soon.